All right, guys. So, having known the definition of what graphic design is all about, now let's ask ourselves the question: why graphic design? Why do people go for graphic design? Why is it that graphic design is important? Why is it that everybody is talking about graphic design? And why is graphic design so important in this current state we are in? Right, in this current age and in this current time. All right. So, from time immemorial, graphic design has always been there. Graphic design has always been important. All right. From the definition of what graphic design is, according to Wikipedia, let me start with Wikipedia. Graphic design is a profession, academic discipline, and an applied art whose activity consists in projecting visual communications intended to transmit specific messages to social groups with a specific objective. It goes further to say graphic design is an interdisciplinary branch of design and of fine art. Its practice involve creativity, innovation, and literal thinking using manual and digital tools where it is usual to use text and graphics to communicate visually. Right? So it uses manual and digital tools to communicate instead of using just text and graphics. Right? Instead of using just text. So what it's saying is that graphic design involves one particular thing, is a visual communication that gives a more clearer picture to a message that is about to be passed, a specific clear message to be passed to the audience, that at a glance you can understand what a particular message is saying to you by just viewing a graphic design. You don't need to read a whole lot of script. Instead of reading a 2-page description of something, one graphic design can summarize all of those things in just one page, and you understand clearly what the message is. All right, so that is what graphic design does, and it is not graphics design, it's graphic design. All right, graphic design is an act of visual communication which involves the proper blend of the elements and principles of designing to pass a clear message to the target audience. That is Eugene Dozier's definition for a clearer view. Okay, why I use that definition is because you need to know how to impute the elements of graphic design and backed up with the principles of graphic design to be able to create a stunning image. All right, at the beginning of this class I was talking about the recipe for great design. All right, as a chef or whoever is cooking, graphic design is almost like you preparing a dish for somebody. All right, that's why I use the term recipe for great design. To make any recipe or any meal, there's usually a recipe for that meal, and if you don't use the right recipe, you might not get the taste of the meal, and you might produce something that be tasteless, and people will test it. I'm like, it is, stuff like that. So the essence of this class is to give the proper recipe to creating a nice design. So what graphic design does is it makes clear messages to be passed, all right, using visual communications, all right, passing visual communication of clear messages by applying the elements and principles of design. So we'll be going into what the elements and principles of design are in the next voice notes, but let it just be known that graphic design is all about visual communications, transmitting specific messages, clear messages to a target audience. That is the simplest way to understand what graphic design is. It is the use, all right, is a visual communication. If you are doing a design and it doesn't pass any communication, you're obviously wasting your time. Fine. If the communication is not clear enough, if it is not specific enough, you're not passing a clear information, you're not passing a redeeming information. If it is not obeying the principles of designing, then the message is just like serving a food. Remember, it's a recipe. You're talking about a chef serving a food. If you are served a food in a dirty plate, you would not like to eat it. So graphic design is important. It is important for you to be able to maintain the principles, obeying the principles of design. That is how you create a great design. That is how you create a great design. Now, why graphic design? Graphic design is important because in the world today, in our age and time today, people have low attention span. All right, if I give a very long script for you to read, by the time you go through that script, sometimes a lot of people, it is scientifically proven that the attention span of humans has dropped drastically. It's important now that for you to grab people's attention, you need to be able to come at them with a clear message, and your design has to leave a lasting impression on people. If your design doesn't make any impression, if it is not well served, if it is not well articulated and produced, you do not capture your audience, and your audience might not be able to stay glued to what you are trying to sell out. All right, so the reason why we have graphic design is the attention span of people has reduced. Secondly, there's a lot of competition out there in the marketplace. Everybody wants to sell something to somebody. So if your graphic design is not able to leave a lasting impression on somebody, you might just lose that person to the next competition out there who has a better design. So the essence of this class and the essence of graphic design as a whole is to be able to be out there and impact your audience with a lasting impression with your graphic design. So it is important that you are able to sell that design very well, create a very appealing design that grabs your audience and get them asking themselves, oh, what is what's going on here? What is this person trying to say to me? And they pick it and they come to you and you sell and you make your sales. And because if you are not selling in this world, you are buying something. If you're not buying something, you are selling something. And because a world, let's just use Nigeria for example, where there are about over 200 million people and everybody wants to sell to somebody, you have to stand out with your graphic design to be able to capture the audience that you need. All right, so that is that about why we need graphic design, and we'll be moving straight up into the elements and the principles of design in our next voice notes. If you have listened to this point, react by giving a thumbs up to this voice note so we can move to the next one. See you guys in the next record.